Oh, only me is talking. So welcome to Info 140, the introduction to cybersecurity. So I'm your lecturer. I have met some of you. It looks like most of you from group discussions. So today we will have the first lecture, and I will first start with the course administrations, some important message to you, especially for some of you who haven't met me. And then I will go through the overview of cybersecurity. In general, we can divide it into three categories. Why is the cybersecurity? Why do we need to learn cybersecurity? What are the motivations? And then we will go to the next part. When we talk about cybersecurity, if you look at search around cybersecurity online, you will find a lot of terms, and people from different blogs, they talk about cybersecurity. But sometimes we need also to consider, what are they talking about? What is cybersecurity they are talking about? And then we will come to kind of the countermeasures that protect our systems against the cyber attacks. So this will be the three major parts for our lecture today. And in general, it is the fundamental questions we will cover in this course. So first of all, I will move this bar. I don't know where to move. Okay. So for the lectures, you already seen the information at Mid-UAB. I also talked to some of you that we will share all the information at Mid-UAB. And we will have lectures on Wednesday from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, and lectures on Friday from 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock. And I set this Zoom meeting for digital lectures, and it is automatically recorded. But that time is set up from 2 to 4 on Wednesday, from 12 to 2 on Friday, to give time for students to join. And all the digital lectures at the moment, I suppose if everything works as expected, then the lecture is recording. And the lecture will be available afterwards. So we will have group sessions every week for 2 hours. Talking about the group sessions, at the moment it's a little bit mess, because I was told by the department that some of you will be moved to some other groups. The reason is the faculty has the whole picture of all students, and they have the whole picture of what are the courses each student attend, to make sure the schedule of the students' group sessions won't conflict from among different courses. So some of you may be moved to some other groups. So at the moment, the group is not fixed yet. So the message to you is, we are working on it, the department is working on it, and we will settle down all the group allocations as soon as possible. And after we set down the groups, then you are not allowed to change the other groups. I emphasize this quite a lot in group sessions. And you can send me a message via email or via Mid-UAB. And I prefer you to send me via Mid-UAB, because I got quite a lot of emails every day, especially during this COVID-19 situation. Previously I need to reply like 30 to 50 emails every day. So to avoid some confusion, or to avoid like I was busy and I neglect your emails. So send me your message via Meet2IB. Then it's there. I can check it afterwards. So before we go to the lecture, I would like to introduce the teaching team for this course. So me as a lecturer, my name is Chun Li, and I'm a Chinese. I studied mathematics and cryptography for my bachelor and master. And then I came to Bergen, start my PhD program in secure communication. After that, I had 2 years in University of Stavanger for postdoc position. And now I'm an associate professor in the SEMA group, which is the secure communication group in our department. And we have 3 teaching assistants. They are all PhD students in our group, and they are all under my supervision on different topics, different subjects in cryptography. And we also have line group leaders. For each of them, they will be responsible for one group, and they are students from this course last semester, and they have pretty good grade, so they are quite competent for their task in this course. And I would like to learn more about you. And so somehow we need to, I have this list that you have signed up at the Google Sheet form. I don't have the time to go through all the list, but I have bring A4 papers. Then I would distribute this paper to you. And I have brought a marker. So I expect you to write your name and then try to make it stand up, and then I can see your name. Then for future lectures, like, okay, then if some of you have questions, then I can call you by name instead of, okay, then this student, that's not nice. Yeah, that's my plan. And for this course, we will use the textbook, Computer Security, Principles and Practice. We will use the 4th edition of this textbook, but it's not necessary to use the latest edition. If you have the 3rd edition in your hand, then it's basically sufficient. And most of the lecture notes will be taken from the chapters in the textbook, and I will add some other contents. So the other learning materials for you in this course is to use the slides and the learning notes. And I will also post some reading materials for each topic to broaden your knowledge in that topic. So that's the learning materials for this course. And for the grading in this course, I mentioned to most of you at group sessions. So we have 2 mandatory assignments, which account for 50 points, and 1 final written exam, which will be digital via Inspera. So the date of your exam at the moment it's tentative, but I don't expect it will change. It will be November 25th. So that's pretty much about the administration information for this course. Before I continue, has any of you have some questions? No question? Everything is clear to you? Okay, great. I also need to check. It did not make sense to me. So let's come to the first question about the cybersecurity. Why do we need to learn cybersecurity, and why people care about cybersecurity? Somehow nowadays we are all using digital systems or computer systems. Like previously we use laptops, we use desktops, then later we use smartphones, we use tablets, and we all enjoy the great life, great experience that these devices have brought to us when they are connected to the internet. So meanwhile, there are more and more data about ourselves, about our systems, about our work, about our projects are shared with others in the internet. So these data, these documents and files are not only important to us, it's also attractive to criminals. So in most of cases, there are many cybersecurity incidents, and the criminals for these incidents are mostly motivated by some financial profits. And for the society, it's not uncommon that we have seen many cybersecurity incident news. Some of them are quite scary. For example, if you look at, I took this, I'm not sure whether I have this link here. It was from, yeah, if I click here. There's some statistic on cybersecurity incidents each year. And this statistic basically gather all the information on cybersecurity, what are the vulnerabilities, and what are the major consequences for these cybersecurity incidents. And from last year, it was reported that there are around $2 trillion loss due to different cybersecurity incidents. And the cybersecurity, in some sense, is a buzzword in these days. If you Google cybersecurity, this is what I have done in the morning, then you see there are nearly 112 million hits on cybersecurity. So it's a quite active, quite a hot word. And also, the reason for having so many security incidents these days is, on one hand, the hacker skill is not as demanding as like 20 years ago or 30 years ago. At that time, most of the hackers, they are computer experts. They are really good at some low-level languages, and then they load the system very well, and then they can find some hidden bugs or hidden vulnerabilities in the system. And nowadays, like for high school kids and for even elementary school kids, if they are quite into computers, then they can easily find many tools that can be used to hack others. So basically, the threshold for being a hacker is rather low nowadays. On the other hand, there are many sophisticated tools. These tools, in the beginning, it's just some very short script codes. But as the technology evolves, and also as more and more experts join into this field, then they develop very advanced tools. And some of them, they are use these tools for their own benefits. And some of them, they just sell these tools to others. That's kind of the seller of these tools. And then the script kids can buy these tools at very low expense. So then you see this figure that the intruder, basically the hacker, the knowledge requirement for intruder from 1980, like it's here very high, and nowadays here it's just at 2010, it's going down. While the sophistication of all the attacks, all the toolkits are rather advanced. So in this sense, it explains why these days we have seen more and more cybersecurity incidents. And for most of these incidents, I would say the reason, the motivation is a financial profit. It's like this statement. It was a statement from a bank robber in 1970s or 80s. So I rob banks because that's where the money is. It makes sense. And so it makes sense to most of the cyber criminals as well. So in general, the cyber criminals can be divided into for their purpose, financial profits, or maybe indirectly or directly, and then the political reasons, mostly these two parts. And for students, for researchers, and for universities, we also have our own motivations. For some of you, you may consider, okay, cybersecurity seems quite interesting topic. I'd like to learn cybersecurity. But for some of you, maybe you choose computer science, and then in your group, this course is set as a mandatory course. You have to learn it. And in general, this kind of cybersecurity is quite important knowledge for you for your future work. Either you will work on security engineering tasks in the company, or you are just a software engineer or manager. Then you need basic knowledge in cybersecurity. And for researchers like me and so many other security experts, cybersecurity itself is quite complex. It's a broad area. It's a huge area as you learn more in this field. And each of them, they are kind of they involve as the other technology involves. So it's not isolated. It's connected to other technologies. So it means that there's always new directions, new problems to be solved by researchers. So that's why we are quite interested in it. And also the government, again, it's kind of financial purpose. The government also will have invested more funding on these fields. It's kind of a little bit disappointing, like for doing research, but somehow researchers also need funding, need money to continue their research. That's a fact, unfortunately. And for the universities, that's another kind of the reason why we have this course, because we had this course last semester. This is second time. And I designed this course as required by the university. And for myself, I'm interested in cybersecurity. So I'm volunteering myself for this course. And for the university, it's very important to have cybersecurity training and for their students, and to make sure all the students, especially with IT background, they have basic knowledge, they have certain competence in cybersecurity, such that when they go to industry, they won't make quite stupid mistakes when it comes to some security practice. Okay, I talk quite a lot about this motivation. Now let's look at what is cybersecurity. So I would like you to answer this question at the moment. For like each of you think of like 30 minutes, 30 seconds, like what is cybersecurity? When you see this word, what is in your mind? When you see this word, then what do you think? Or what do you expect the cybersecurity, the concept of cybersecurity? Can any of you give me a short answer? What do you think about cybersecurity? What is cybersecurity? Yes? protecting online machine? Yes, yeah, that's online information. Yeah, that's good. And so when it comes to this protecting, if we go a little bit deeper, then there's quite a lot of elements in this short sentence. In general, cybersecurity is, or in essence, is to deal with the protections on computer systems in online from different type of cyber attacks, right? And when it comes to the definition, we have different definitions. So let's look at these widely accepted definitions on cybersecurity. So cybersecurity, by the NIST definition, this NIST is a national institution of standardized technology in US. So it is the protection afforded to an automated information system in order to attain the applicable objectives of preserving the integrity, availability, and confidentiality of information system resources. These resources include hardware, software, firmware, information, and telecommunications. So what you have, this shortened sentence is, of course, covered in this definition, but it was not as complete as this definition. And let's look at another definition of cybersecurity from Wikipedia. It's not necessarily standard, but it's also widely accepted concept. So it's the protection of computer systems from the theft or damage to their hardware, software, or electronic data, as well as from the disruption or misdirection of the services they provide. In general, owing to its complexity, both in terms of politics and technology, cybersecurity is also one of the major challenges in the contemporary world. So these are the definitions of cybersecurity. I have read these two definitions to you, but your impression would be, so what's the cybersecurity again? Right? It's quite long sentences, and it's not easy to absorb these sentences. So let's try to decompose this sentence into small pieces, and then we look at these small pieces one by one. Then we will understand the cybersecurity better at the high level, like for this definition. When we try to understand this definition, then there are three fundamental questions we want to answer, or we want to see from this definition. First one, what do we want to protect? So when we think of protecting a system, and what do we want to protect? This is the first question. The second question, why do we need to protect them? That's kind of already mentioned. There are a lot of cyber criminals due to motivated by financial or political profit. And the third one, how can we protect them? And what are the tools we can use to protect our valuable systems? So the third one will be the major focus of this course in this semester. And we will learn how to protect our systems. But before that, let's look at the first two questions. What do we want to protect? So as human being, everyone nowadays is connected to the internet by laptop, by mobiles, by tablets. If you are asked the question, what do you want to protect regarding your device, regarding your information, and what pops in your mind? What do you want to protect? Yes? Sensitive data. What kind of sensitive data?
Passwords.
Yes? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Mobile banking or like banking information. Yes. Yeah. Personal information. Yes. Social security number. Yes. Yeah. You are all right. And these all are all the important information to individuals. And it's somehow for most of the information, the answer you mentioned, we as an individual, we cannot afford to lose this information. We cannot afford to lose our banking information or especially the password for our banking, online banking. And for some of the accounts in some websites, maybe we can afford to lose if that's not important to us. It's just like you go to some website to want to access some information or some resource in that website, and you are asked to register for the website. Now, in this case, maybe okay, if you lose the password, lose the account, it costs quite little impact to, like bad impact to you. And in general, for individuals, we can classify the information we want to protect. As what you have mentioned, like financial information, it's not necessarily limited to online banking information. It could be also some account for this, like for Amazon or for PayPal information. Also, this recently we have this Bitcoin, and some of them, I'm not sure whether you have a Bitcoin wallet. Some people have, then they need to protect their Bitcoin account. And for many other commercial websites, then you also want to protect the account for these websites. And the second one is a personal identifiable information. So that's what the sensitive information you have mentioned. So this sensitive information could be, okay, some photos or maybe some private photos, like photos with the families, and also the relations with others who are your friends, or the contact information in your mobile. All this information are quite personal, then you want to protect it. And when it comes to surfing on the internet, then we also want to protect the browsing history of ourselves, because somehow it tells the attack a lot of information, like what is your interest and what kind of web pages have you visited. So somehow this information can provide extra information to the cyber criminals. And in the worst scenario, the criminals can use this information to fool you and to click some link or to deceive you. And this kind of attack, by gathering personal information of individuals to attack some individuals, is called a phishing attack or social engineering. And I mentioned this online account information. So it's a rather incomplete list of the individual information you want to protect. And you can also expand the list to write down what kind of information, think it over and write down what kind of information you really want to protect. And also classify them into different levels. Kind of the top level, kind of the top secret, you want to protect your online banking password, your this commercial website's password. And for some of them, they might be this private information. It could be also quite high level security when it comes to the potential impact that you may be attacked. And for organizations, what they value most, and for university or for a big company, they somehow value their reputations. Like recently, the Norges Handel Høyskole, the NHH, there's a security breach that the accounts of their students and employees were stolen. And it's a kind of embarrassing incident to the college. And they have to ask the employee to change their password as soon as possible. I'm not sure whether you have noticed this. And for organizations, this reputation and which would lead to financial profits loss, and it's very important to them. They also want to protect their systems. In this sense, mostly they want to protect their computer systems or their infrastructures. It's slightly different from individuals. Like for individuals, we want to protect our personal information. Yes. So we talk a lot about this protection, and when we go a little bit deeper, in fact, we can find more in these protections. For some of the data, we want to protect its secrecy. We want to keep it confidential. And for some of the data, we want to keep it integrated. So we don't want any other unauthorized party can modify, can edit our file. And for some services provided by some websites or some organizations, then they want their services be accessible to authorized users, authorized customers all the time. So imagine if Amazon was hacked and it cannot provide services, cannot allow their customers to buy products at their websites, then that's a big loss. And they are not just losing money of these incidents, they're losing reputations, and they lose future customers as well. So there are these three property of assets: is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Is the fundamental security attributes that have been well established in cybersecurity community. So if we look at this confidentiality, basically, okay, it means the data or a file cannot be read by unauthorized entity. This entity could refer to an individual, could refer to an organization, or just an abstract term in the computer system. And it also refers to the system cannot be accessed by unauthorized entity. So these services or this system, like it's it's not just a file, a document, or a photo, a video. So it could be a whole system. Then it should be able to restrict access to all the resources in this system. And the second one, integrity. So it means the data cannot be modified by unauthorized entity. And they cannot be modified in an unauthorized, undesired manner. This is very important. For confidentiality, it's quite easy to understand. Everyone or every system wants to keep something hidden from others, from other systems. As individuals, each one each of us has our own secrecy. We want to release to others. We don't want to others to know some of our secrecy. And for integrity, it's very important. It's sometimes even more important than confidentiality. For example, in the university system, and they are maintaining the grading for each student. All of you are in the system. After the course is finished, then you will get the grade for this course. So for both students and university, you don't want this grade record in all the courses can be modified by unauthorized parties. So only if okay, you want to appeal to some of the grade, then you request it, and then there'll be another round of grading. Then you might be able to get a new grade. Only in this case, it is allowed. There's no other cases that can be allowed, and the grade of a student can be changed in a system. And also, if you log in to your online banking and you pay something you have bought in some websites, and then you type the amount of the payment, and this information will be transmitted to the bank. And in fact, it will go through many routers and many loads in the communication links. Each communication links could be able to read the message, and we don't want there's a possibility, one single possibility that someone can hack into the traffic and change the amount of the payment. So this is about integrity. Also, you send a text message to your friend, okay, let's have a party this Friday evening at 7 o'clock. And then you don't want this message to be received at this, okay, let's have a party next Friday at 7 o'clock or in the midnight. So this information I mentioned, it's not necessarily very sensitive to confidentiality. So somehow we can accept this information is released to others. It's not a big deal, but we prefer or we require all this information cannot be modified by unauthorized party. So this is about integrity. And the availability, as you can see from the name, it means some data is available, some services in a system is available to authorized guests or customers. These three attributes